What's up, guys? Armature Tuna back again with another video, and in today's video I'm going to be reviewing the top 5 worst armor sets in Ground. Now, the way I am going to be ranking these armor sets is based off of versatility, combat effectiveness, and also how hard it is to get them. Now, just because maybe you see an armor set or armor piece on this list that you don't, that you like to wear and don't really agree with, doesn't mean it's relatively bad. It could just mean it's outclassed by other armor sets in the game. But I will be doing top 5 best armor sets after this video, but without further ado, let's get into the first armor set. And for this first armor set, we have the Roly-poly armor set. Now, the Roly-poly armor set is pretty decent, and I know a lot of you will be wondering, well, why did you put it in the worst armor sets if you say it's pretty decent? Well, the main reason why I did is, one, it lacks a lot of qualities that makes like other armor sets really good from what they are. And like this one, it's just mainly built towards helping new players out throughout the upper yard, which makes sense, as it's pretty easy to get. For all the effects, we have block stun and also block strength. Now, what block strength does is makes it to where any weapon or shield you have will increase in health. So it will take longer for any enemy to break through it if you're not perfect blocking. And block stun is pretty much a chance for the enemies to get stunned while you are blocking. But for the full set bonus, it is taunting gaze, which increases the enemy's desires to attack you, which, in my opinion, it's kind of useless. It's pretty useless in a single player. If you're playing with multiple other people, it's pretty good, but if you're specifically using it for a solo player, yeah, it's just not the best. But for versatility, I gotta give this a 9 out of 10, because, well, it's more catered to your, like, resistance and health to anything else. For combat effectiveness, I gotta give this an 8.5, mainly due to the fact that the heavy armor set bonus, although you are still pretty protected, and for how easy it is to get, I'm gonna have to put it in probably an 8 out of 10. Roly-polies can be challenging for newer players, but for the most part, you'll probably kill them first try. They're not too hard to kill, especially how slow they attack. So, in total, I believe it's about 25.5 points in total, which is pretty good considering it's one of the more worse armor sets, but in my opinion, it's not the worst. Alright, you'll see further on in this video that there are armor sets that are way worse than this one, and that is the reason why the Roly-poly armor set is in the top 5 spot at the lowest on the list. Now, as you will see later on in the video, there will be armor sets that just, in my opinion, they just need a buff. Like, most of the time, they can't even compete with some of the armor sets that are in the game right now. But this is my ranking for Roly-poly armor, 25.5 out of 30. I think it's a fair ranking for this armor set. If I made any mistakes, please type them in the comments below. And let's get on to the next armor set. And this next armor set I'm going to be showing is going to be the Antlion armor set. Now, the Antlion armor set is going to be the first tier 3 armor set that you will discover in the game. It is unlocked by killing the antlions in the sandbox, as you see in the clip over there. There's where the sandbox is. And honestly, this armor set, it's alright. It has one really good effect on it, though, that makes me want to use it, and that is the sizzle protection. The sizzle protection helps with a lot of things. It helps with getting the Coltana. It helps with just getting charcoal. It helps with also traversing the sandbox, which are 3 pretty big things to do in the game. The first rate's alright. It's nothing good, especially when you can carry a charcoal canteen and just get dirty water and convert it to clean. But the full set bonus for this armor set is quick draw, which means faster reload speed while in combat. And I think this only applies for crossbows. I don't think it applies for bow and arrows at all. But that's the one thing I like and also don't like about the antlion armor set, is that you could deal a significant amount of DPS with the crossbow, except because of the quick draw effect, except also it's just like there's nothing really special going for it besides that. Like, yeah, you'll feel like a cowboy using it, but there's really just nothing special going on with this armor set. So for versatility, I'm going to have to give it a 6.5, just because of the fact that, you can, if you want to get the most value out of it, you have to use a crossbow. You don't have to, but it's recommended. For combat effectiveness, I'm going to have to put this at a 8, as it does help people who just want to stick with range deal way more DPS over time. And also, and for how hard it is to get, I'm going to have to put it at probably a 7.5. It's not that hard to get. Honestly, the antlions are pretty easy to kill. Better yet, never mind, I'll keep it at a 7.5. But for the total, it is going to add up to a staggering 22 out of 30. I think it's a fair place. This armor set does feel a bit lacking in some places, but can make up for it because of the sizzle protection and also for how good of DPS it could deal. But let's move on to our next armor set. Okay, for this armor set, or in this case, armor piece, it is going to be the Termite chestplate. Now, the Termite chestplate, it's come a long way, alright? It's been from one of the worst to decent, because the previous effect from it was grass harvest speed, and I forgot what the sleek effect was, which I am thankful that they changed, because, oh my god, because yeah, the Termite armor would have just been absolutely terrible if they haven't changed it to the Dust Guard and also the Dust Cloud effect. Now, speaking of those two effects, the Dust Guard and Dust Cloud effect actually have decent properties to them, and they're kind of unique in a certain way. So, pretty much what the Dust Guard ability does is that it protects you pretty much from the dust mites and the termite soldiers' dust cloud effect that slows down your attack speed and also movement speed, which is pretty handy. And the dust cloud effect is which makes sure that your melee attacks have a chance to release the same cloud that the termite soldiers and the dust mites release. And this can be pretty useful, especially in the infected broodmother fight, because of the fact that, it can slow down enemies' attacks and also movement speed. For versatility, I'm going to have to put it probably at a 7 out of 10, mainly due to the fact that you have to use a melee weapon with this thing. Now, for combat effectiveness, I think I'm going to put it at maybe a 6.5. Actually, no, I'm going to put it at a 6 because the dust cloud can mess up how you perfect block. It can ruin, your timing for when you're trying to perfect block, which can be annoying. And for how hard it is to get, I'm going to have to put it at a probably not a 6, probably a 7.5. Just because the termites can be a nuisance to deal with, especially when they are in groups and they're using the dust cloud effect to their advantage. So the total will come up to a 20 out of 30. Now, I think this is a fair ranking because of the fact that it is a armor piece and not a armor set. So the one reason that holds it back a lot is because of the fact that you can only use it in melee combat, and also the dust cloud can screw you over a bit. So that's my ranking for it. I think it's a fair ranking. Let me know in the comments if you think I'm wrong. But I do think I gave it a fair ranking. Now, for being just an armor piece in general, it's alright. It can help with the infected broodmother fight a lot. Even though you haven't seen it in any of my videos, I don't think. I have used this thing to kill the infected broodmother, and it helps out quite a ton. Because of how fast she attacks. Now, like I said earlier, it does kind of mess with your timing for your perfect blocks. So you do kind of need to remaster the timing for perfect blocks for the termite armor when the dust cloud effect happens. But if it does happen, in general, it'll just make the game twice as easy for you. But this armor set, not armor set, my bad, but this armor piece, it's alright. I put it in the top 3, even though it's in the top 3 for worst armor sets. I feel like it should get a tiny buff, and that buff probably should be that you can use it maybe with, not just melee weapons. Maybe you can use it with ranged weapons, so it could become more versatile, and not just, stuck with melee combat. Now, this could break the game, but I don't know, maybe not, maybe it will. But anyways, let's go on to our second to last armor set. For the second to last armor set, we have the Wasp armor. Now, even though the Wasp armor was introduced fairly recently, it's kind of mediocre. If I'm going to be honest, it's kind of mediocre. It has a unique playstyle, but it's kind of trash if I'm going to be honest. Especially since the Wasp are already, pretty hard enemies to fight. It just doesn't really make for a good armor set. Now, as the Wasp can be also buffed by the Wasp drones, which can obviously heal them and give them the bleed effect as well. Now, what the Wasp armor does is it has something called a charged shot combo, and what that charged shot combo does is pretty much makes it to where your staves and bows, so once you do a charged attack, that next shot will shoot twice as fast. So in theory, it should do twice as much DPS, but it's not even like that, if I'm going to be honest. It's not. But for the second effect, which is quick shot refund, what that is instead of doing a charge shot, you just normally shoot like you would. It has a chance to refund your arrow. Now, obviously, this doesn't work with staff, so if you want to do a staff build with this, then I would recommend probably making a bulky. But even though those effects seem great and also provide a unique playstyle, the Full set bonus is air superiority, which range attacks deal significantly more damage to flying creatures, causing them to fall from the sky more easily. There are only a handful of enemies, so I would say this is useful on, which is the mosquitoes, tiger mosquitoes, the wasp, and the wasp queen. But even then, like the wasp queen, she flies so low to the ground that you could probably hit her with a melee weapon. Now, for versatility, I'm probably going to have to give this a staggering, staggering 5.5, as you can only use it with, the bows, like most notably the Wasp Queen bow and also the staffs, because you just will not do much damage if you're trying to use the insect bow for this. For, combat effectiveness, I'm going to have to give it probably a 6, as it's really only useful against flying creatures, and like I said, the Wasp Queen already flies super low to the ground that you could probably just hit her with a melee weapon. And for difficulty to get, I'm going to have to put this at a 4, because of the fact the Wasp are already pretty hard enemies, especially if you're new, you're going to get absolutely destroyed. And as well as, like, when they get buffed by their Wasp drones, you know, the Wasp drones will constantly heal them and give them that bleeding effect, which will give them extra DPS and more health while they're still absolutely wailing on you from their sting attack and their ranged attacks. And for the total, it is going to be a 15.5 out of 30. Now, I think this is a fair rank for it, especially because it doesn't seem all that great. Now, I know I'd done a video of wearing this armor with the Bard cap, but if I'm going to be honest, it really did nothing. The Bard cap pretty much carried that entire armor set through the video. Well, I should say the breastplate and also the greaves. Now, I could be, just because of that video, I could, not be knowing the full potential of this armor set, but if I'm going to be honest, it just doesn't give that much off. Like, there are way better range sets. There's the Moth set, the Antline set, like I said in this video, which the Antline set honestly feels it does way much more than this armor set, despite the fact it only, just makes you reload quicker, which is kind of sad because this Wasp armor set looks really cool. And honestly, I kind of hope they add like a musket to this game, like you need to use gunpowder, like the gunpowder you find in the upper yard, and you can make a musket with it, because I got a feeling, that will help boost this armor set even more than just, having to use the staffs and also the bows for this. But anyways, let's get on with our last and final armor set. For this armor set, many of you may know what it is, but for those of you who don't know, it is going to be the armor of the Moldy Matriarch. Now, this armor had me by surprise at the beginning because it looked so good, but unfortunately it did so little after a little while of using it. So, many of you may be asking, what is the armor's effect? Well, the armor's effect is explosive stun and dynamite, and pretty much what both of those do is dynamite makes it to where explosive apply a debuff, making enemies more weaker to explosions, which is already bad, and explosive stun deals, stun damage dealt by explosives is increased. But getting back to dynamite isn't really that good because of the fact that most of the bosses in the game, which, let's be honest, this is what you're going to use it on, are explosive resistant, meaning, you're going to have to throw the bomb multiple times in order for it to do anything, and cluster bomb barely does anything either. Like, all it does is just make it to where your explosion deals like a little bit more damage and slightly more range, which is kind of mediocre. And even if you decide to go with the full build for this, like you use Apex Predator to apply of Broodmother Venom damage for the bomb, and also Spore Lord to apply random status effects to enemies, that still barely does anything because A, the Broodmother Venom's just recycled from the Club of the Mother Demon, and the Spore Lord mutation only does the effects but for 1%. Yes, 1%. Meaning you're going to have to throw this bomb multiple times in order to get a full effect. And even then, as soon as the enemy you're fighting's dead, like, it'll just reset instantly like that. It doesn't stack for the next enemy, it just resets. So, for versatility, I'm going to have to give it a 4. Alright, you can only use it with bombs. It's pretty meaty with the, the Broodmother, infected Broodmother bomb I meant, and also the bombs you make, which, let's be honest, the normal bombs you make are going to be explosive, so you're going to use the Broodmother one. For combat effectiveness, I'm going to give it a 4.5. It's good against normal enemies, but as soon as you're going to go against, like, the bosses, such as the Broodmother, or any boss in general, they're explosive resistant and they can't do anything. I will give it some credit because of the Black Widow, but that's about all. For difficulty to get, I'm honestly going to put it out of 1. Not only do you have to fight the infected Broodmother once to even unlock the recipe, you need to fight her around 4, 5, 6 more times just so you can, make the full set, including the bomb, for one of you in your group. Yep, that's right, only one of you. And you'll have to rinse and repeat unless you want to grind for raw science to dupe all the materials to make another one. It's just not going to be fun. So for the total for this set is going to be a 9.5 out of 10, which is just absolutely terrible. In my opinion, they did like so much to try to balance it out to where it ended up just being just a absolute trash tier 3 armor set. Maybe it could have been better if the boss was easier, but since the boss is like one of the hardest enemies in the game, yeah, the armor set's just bad. It doesn't even feel like you worked hard enough, like, to get it. Which is kind of odd because the normal Broodmother, you would have been able to make the helmet and the weapon by just fighting her once. That's right, once. And she's way easier than the infected Broodmother. But you fight the infected Broodmother once, you're not going to get enough for even one piece. You have to fight her probably a second time to get at least one piece. Which is just, it's just not that good. I don't know why they didn't increase the drop rate yet, or, decrease the amount you have to make this armor. I mean, better yet, scrap both of those things. Just make it to where the armor set, like, just buff the hell out of this armor set, as it would make it 10 times better if, they just buffed it. Now, that was all for today's video. If you think anything should be changed, leave a comment below. But anyways, like and subscribe, and I will see you all in the next